BBC Radio Kent.
14 minutes to 5. Good afternoon. Today marks a special birthday to a company that we probably use every single day. Do you? We use it to search, to locate, to discover, to write documents, to do things with maps. Oh, we even have it as a word these days, Google, don't we? You can end up having conversations with it. I've got one at home that tells me it's good night. Despite it being a numerical value, it's one followed by 100 zeros, if you spell it slightly differently. It's a technical giant. Danny Windsor is the head of Giant Campus Training Facility at Sleeping Giant Media in Folkestone, who have worked with Google on some of their online content. Danny joins us now. Good afternoon, Danny.
Good afternoon.
So how much of a difference has Google made? Let's give it the last 20 years. What's the impact been?
Wow. Just listening to that little kind of VT head then kind of brought back loads of memories. But I think the impact from our perspective, obviously we work with a lot of businesses. So we use Google to help small businesses and kind of large businesses reach a new audience. So I think in the last 20 years, especially in the last 10 years, Google has enabled small businesses to almost compete with the big boys out there. And I think maybe 20 years ago or 10 years ago, at the beginning of the internet, businesses got lost in search accounts, especially things like Ask Jeeves and various other inclinations of it. So for us, Google has given us all the tools we need, to help businesses and to help them grow.
So I suppose, to do search engine optimization these days actually is just to do Google optimization, is it?
It is. I think it depends on your market to some degree. Obviously, Google isn't the market leader across every country in the world, but Bing is catching up. So I think Bing has 20% of the market share at the moment, and that is increasing slowly. So I think people are moving from Google. But to do SEO properly, if you rank on Google, then you're doing a good thing.
And it's not just a search engine these days. It is, sat navs, it's phones, it's operating systems on phones and some TVs. Are they too much of a monopoly?
It's a good question, isn't it? And it's one that we don't think so. I mean, I think Google build the products they need to build in order to help us live our lives and do the things that we need to do. And the fact they all work together is always a bonus. I think the more people you have in the marketplace, the better the competition, of course. But I think the biggest rival to Google is Facebook. And then in the next couple of years is Amazon. So I think it's not just a case of being a search engine anymore. Google is a tech firm and Apple is included in that as well. So it's no longer kind of Google versus Bing, but Google versus Apple or Google versus Amazon is also just as competitive.
And so what work and training have you done about using Google these days?
Yeah, so Sleeping Giant Media, for those that don't know, we're a digital marketing agency. We are celebrating our 10th year this year, so we're half of Google's age. And we are a Google Premium Partner, so that means we get all the update information first so we can really help our clients. But from Giant Campus, which is the training arm of the company, we've been working with Google over the last kind of 2 years to write their online learning. So they have a platform called Google Digital Garage. Anybody can go and register for a free account with Google Garage, and there's about 120 lessons built into that platform. They're quite introductory, but it kind of helps businesses understand how they can use SEO and PPC. So they're not alien terms. And we wrote a lot of that content quite recently for them. So a little old company in Folkestone ended up writing all of the content, which goes across Europe. So we love Google for that respect, and also really proud of our impact within that platform.
There was a documentary recently, can't remember the name of it, but about Google scanning books, which, I mean, Google's come up against some issues, isn't it? It's not as if it's been totally, heralded as the saviour of all that is data. There have been some court cases about the scanning of copyright material.
Yes, and I think, before I got onto this call, I Googled, ironically, Google Fines to kind of just have a look at how much impact the company has had in terms of crossing the wrong line, if you like. And I think considering the scale of their operation and the uniqueness of the environment in which they're operating in, they're always going to come across those kind of things. I think when they set up the company, the mission statement was always to do no evil or to do no wrong. And I think those values are still in the company, but obviously as it grows, mistakes happen, fines come out, and it balances the board. We could look about a year ago, Google got fined for prioritizing their own shopping adverts at the top of Google results. They got a big fine that's now been fixed, and everybody has an equal measure. So I think with digital technology, we have to have these iterations of launching it, doesn't quite work, or it causes some problems, we fix those problems, and it gets better and better. If you think about Ask Jeeves, for example, we've moved on a long way, or even in Carter on CD-ROM, we've moved a very long way from that. So technology at that kind of speed brings errors. That usually brings fines. But yeah, I think there'll always be an audience out there that don't like the bigger nature of the company, the kind of big brother element of the company, if you like.
It's interesting the thing you brought up there about the fact their mission statement used to be, do no evil. Why would you change that as a mission statement? Because the problem is, once you've got it in as a mission statement, changing it doesn't look great.
Yeah, I think internally they're still within their value system. I think everything they try to do is about bringing information to the point, your fingertips, the minute you need it. I think the kind of do no evil element was with data, and as we've seen with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, it's very easy to misuse data for your own kind of essentially evil gains. So I think having that as a statement at the beginning of the company put them in good footing. It meant all the products they were producing were for benefit for other people and not for themselves. And I think as they've grown, it's no longer about doing no evil, but it's about connecting users around the world, and in a similar kind of message that Facebook has.
And finally then, looking forward to the future, because at the moment I've got a device in my home which, if I say good night to it, it recognises my voice and says good night, Steve, which is either terrifying or great. Looking forward to the future then, what do you think we'll see Google doing?
Well, I think that's going to become more and more. So I too have a Google Home, and I got back from holiday last night, and I asked Google. That's why my voice is slightly sore. I've been at Ibiza for the past week celebrating 10 years.
Because you've been talking to Google too much.
Celebrating 10 years of Sleeping Giant Media. But when I got in, I told Google I was home, and it congratulated me for coming home, and it gave me some nice music. And I think technology is going to integrate into our lives in that way. Wearables are already huge. So, earpods and Apple Watches are massive. Pretty much everyone's got voice search in their homes, but that's going to get more and more integrated into everything that we do. So at the moment, you've either got Alexa, or you've got Siri, or you've got OK Google.
Don't say that.
Everybody else is Google. But at the moment, you've got those kind of three, but I think it's going to become a case they become a lot more integrated with each other. I think the other thing Google's really pushing for at the moment is video. So if you have a website and it's optimized for video, for example, you've got higher chances of ranking within Google. And I think this is because the technology we're using now, no one sits at a desktop really, or 20% of our audience sits on a desktop. So I think the future for Google is more integration into our lives in either a passive or a non-passive way. Right. But I think the future of kind of Google search will always remain mobile, video, and voice going forward.
Danny, thank you. Danny Windsor, head of Giant Campus Training Facility at Sleeping Giant Media in Folkestone.